Hello and welcome back to Goodland, everybody, the land where everything is good, because what is better than hanging out with two best friends? I am one of those best friends. My name is Norrin Shearer.
And I am Michael Bandhauer, the other best friend.
Oh, yeah. Michael, tell me about your week, my friend. A week since last we spoke.
I guess we spoke.
I guess we played D&D. What was that, Monday, Tuesday? So
yeah, Norrin and I interact quite a bit throughout the week, but in Goodland, it's been about a week and it's been good. I feel like I'm just getting into the pace of schoolwork. So it's just kind of routine at this point. You know, I've got usually like Wednesdays and Saturdays are my biggest due date days. So I need to make sure I get everything done by one of those 2 days.
Yeah.
It's been pretty fun. I've been taking a visual design class, and that's been so much fun messing around with that. I never thought that I'd enjoy it that much, but I love working with like Adobe Illustrator and creating logos and things. It's been a whole lot of fun. So getting into the routine, finding things that I enjoy, but pretty simple. I bought more plants yesterday.
Nice.
Went into town and bought some more plants. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Sick. What kind of programs are you working with? I know you mentioned Illustrator. Is that the only one that you've explored so far? I know you kind of just started school, so you haven't had a lot of time to explore others, but
yeah, not too much. Adobe Illustrator is definitely where I've spent most of my time so far. So I have like the whole Adobe suite as part of this class, which is really fun, but Illustrator is where I've spent most of my time. So I'm excited to explore the other ones, but it's just really fun messing around with. So
yeah, I did a semester of graphic design and we spent most of our time in Illustrator. And then we did a little bit of Adobe InDesign. We made like concert posters, which was pretty cool.
oh, cool.
And then we like barely touched Photoshop. So I feel like I know Illustrator decently well, as far as like one class of intro to graphic design will get you. So I know that decently well. And then we only did one project in InDesign, and then we didn't actually do any projects in Photoshop. We just used Photoshop to help our InDesign project. So I barely know Photoshop at all. And I feel like Photoshop is like the quintessential one. So I feel like I sort of have it backwards, because I know a lot of
seems like an important one.
Yeah, I know people like artists prefer things like Procreate over Adobe Illustrator, but Illustrator is what I use most because it's what I know. And I've designed all our logos. I did the Dungeon Stories logo, I did the Goodland logo, and then for my Twitch, the Everweld _ logo, I did that for myself too, and that was all in Illustrator. I wouldn't blame anyone for guessing Microsoft Paint with my technical ability on those, but yeah, so that's cool. I really liked being in graphic design.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and we also have been doing quite a bit with WordPress too. It's kind of fun. I have like my own free WordPress account website, and so we take a lot of the things that we make and we kind of blog them on cool. that WordPress. So once that gets set up, I'll show you a little bit more from it, but it's been pretty fun, just really the creative side, working with all of it.
Yeah, so that might be a fun episode if we take a tour through some of our in the work projects and show off our process.
I think that'd be fun. That'd be a good idea.
Take us through your WordPress. I could do I could do like how I set up for a Twitch stream, which is not very exciting. Or I could do like how I prep for D&D notes for Dungeon Stories.
Oh yeah, that'd be a good one.
That'd be kind of cool. So we'll have to put a pin in that one. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I just got back from a a trip. We went to Glenn's Ferry, Three Islands State Park, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, I think so.
We had a big family like picnic for Mother's Day. Today is Mother's Day on which we were recording this. Happy Mother's Day to moms. Um, no one would exist without moms. So certified good from
Sure, we
Goodland.
need them.
We do need moms to exist. But yeah, for Mother's Day, we went to Three Islands State Park. My mom's side of the family loves to get together. Obviously, haven't been able to for a while, but now that fully vaxxed up, got my shots in me, we're good to go. So that was pretty exciting to go and see everyone. It was pretty exhausting because I've got 5 little cousins, the oldest of which is in 3rd grade, 4th
And
grade.
I remember when they're little.
Yeah. So they're still just a bunch of kids and they like to run around and do stuff. And Logan and I, obviously, there is a large age gap between us and our cousins. So they wear us out pretty quick, but it was good to see everyone again. Yeah. So we literally got back like 10 minutes before jumping into recording. So
Busy day, huh?
yeah, busy day. But I'm very excited because over the last week, Michael and I have curated a list of topics for us to discuss. And for this week's episode of Goodland, we decided that we wanted to help people who have some questions about situations that they have found themselves in, wondering about moral dilemmas that they have encountered. We have scoured Reddit. Reddit has a community called Am I the Asshole? And basically, within this community, people ask questions about arguments or various various situations they've found themselves in which case there was a disagreement or some kind of tension had arisen, and they tell people how they handled the situation, and then people in the comments are supposed to judge whether that person was a jerk or not, basically. And so here in Goodland, obviously, we like things that are good. So we like people who are NTA, that stands for not the asshole. So we love NTAs here in Goodland. And that's what we're going to try and find. We're going to help people find the best version of themselves and let them know how they, if they handled a situation, if it was right or if it was wrong. So we have each found a number of these Reddit posts, and we'll go ahead and dive in. Michael, do you want to start, or do you want me to go first?
Yeah, sure. I can start off. Let me.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. Pull up your favorite one. Read us. Tell us who it's by. Walk us through the situation, and then let's see if we can't crack this code.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a fun one. So this person is saying, am I the a-hole for naming my kids after villains? So,
cool.
So this person has been said, their family has been wanting to make it a big deal, but it looks like she had 2 beautiful twin girls, and she picked out their names. Their names are Azula from Avatar: The Last Airbender, which I think that's a great choice. Great choice there. And then, so it's Azula, and then what's the other one's name? And Eclipsa. I don't quite know. It's from Star versus the Forces of Evil. Yeah. It's not something I'm too familiar with personally, but these are her 2 daughters' names that she has named them. And apparently, let's see here.
Yeah, why is her family upset? I mean, is it just because they're villains?
Yeah, it says, my mother was livid that I named my girls after 2 villains whose names won't represent my daughters well. And she told her mom that the names don't define who they are. And her mom didn't reply, but then wrote a long Facebook post about how she had doomed her sweet little angels.
Always the passive-aggressive Facebook post.
Always. This seems like quite aggressive, more on the aggressive than passive side. So she talked about how
does she quote it?
she doesn't quote it. She says that like in quotations, her mother used the phrase "doomed her sweet little angels."
Okay.
So definitely a little bit aggressive for that. And then she also said like, people name their kids anything these days. And she's like, it's not like I named my kids hot dog and cheese, like not that bad. So that seems to be the predicament. It seems that the whole family, but particularly the mother, is
Particularly
really upset.
grandma. Um,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I have I have a lot of feelings about this one, because I myself am named after an alien man who gets hired by a big space god to find planets for the space god to eat. So, as someone who is bearing the name of that individual, um, I can say that never once have I found myself uh, considering inscripting into the service of a space god to find worlds for him to destroy.
Yeah.
So
Now,
I have not.
do you feel weight like that you're not living up to your name because of that?
The only weight that I feel is the weight I have to bear, of dealing with people asking me where my name is from.
Mm,
Oh, that's such an interesting name. Yeah, it is. I know. I know. Is it a family name? No, not in the slightest. Not,
not at all.
not. There's not even a hint of. You couldn't even pretend that it was a family name. Um,
Hmm.
and then having to explain, oh, it's from a Marvel superhero. Oh, which one? Oh, it's the Silver Surfer. Oh, I haven't heard of him. Well, maybe you have if you watched the sequel to that really bad Fantastic Four movie. It's pretty forgettable, but
Go down a long rabbit hole.
yeah, basically. And I have to do that, especially like at work, at the bank, because I got this big old name tag on me. And then I have my business cards out in front of me on the station, as well as we have these podiums that list our top 3 talents that sit in front of us. So
Oh, that's
my
cool.
name is just like plastered in front of my station. And so at least 6 times a day, I get a comment about it. So other than that, and honestly, I think that is the bigger issue here. Not that these are villain names, because
Hmm.
like like I said, I have not felt that the Silver Surfer's actions should dictate my own in any way. And I'm sure that these girls will not feel that the actions of Azula or Eclipsa should influence their own actions. I I also think that it would be very hard to have these characters influence their actions. I don't know much about Eclipsa. I haven't watched Star versus the Forces of Evil, but I have watched Avatar: The Last Airbender a million times, and I know that I have never met someone who can shoot blue flames out of their fingertips. So I don't think that little Azula here has to worry about that,
Hmm.
because so many of Azula, the character's actions, will be impossible for Azula, the human girl.
Definitely impossible. I will say there is an edit here. So we have two edits. Um, the first one says that, it's just um, establishing that like she is the mother, so they've come to decide on the names together. And then also that the name Eclipsa actually got changed to Aurora. So
No,
she did change that name, but the name
that's
Azula
Sleeping
is
Beauty, isn't
staying.
it?
Yeah, yeah. At least I know that is her name. I don't know if that's where it comes from originally, or that's what she's referencing, but I know that is her name. So
I think, given the track record of this woman's baby naming history that we're aware of, I think Sleeping Beauty is a safe bet. She
it
seems she
would
seems to like animated pop culture, so I think Sleeping Beauty is a safe bet.
it would follow. So yeah, I feel like that would be safe to say. So yeah, she doesn't specify, but the name Azula is staying. A lot of people have asked, why Azula and why not Katara or any other Avatar protagonist, female lead, and she said that she just relates to Azula more. So
Well, yeah, and I mean that's not necessarily a bad thing. Azula has pretty relatable struggles,
mhm.
being the younger sister who was trying not to be overshadowed by her brother, and then once she finally got what she wanted, I think it went to her head. I think Azula's failing is not in her the issues that she like struggled with as a person, but like rather how she handled them. I think the
Yeah, she had a
stress
lot of
getting to her is what pushed her past the breaking point. I don't think that the issues presented in front of her that this mother would be relating to, I don't think those are the issues.
hmm Yeah, she had a lot put on her. A lot of it was external, you'd say. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, I definitely think like you're able to relate, having like a super unique name. Like I personally have names like my Michael Gideon, both of those are from the Bible. Like that's specifically what I was like named after. And to me, that doesn't put any extra weight on it. It doesn't turn me into who I am today. I feel like our names don't need to become us. I feel like there's probably a famous quote out there about how our names don't need to become us, but I think it's true.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a name might have a legacy, but at the end of the day, it's just a way to get someone's attention and
Yeah.
keep your tax paperwork straight so you don't end up getting mixed up with someone else. At the end of the day, there's not a ton of importance behind them. It's only the importance that you give to them. So
Yeah.
maybe
I,
this
I
girl,
certainly feel that way.
and maybe, instead of dooming this this young child, maybe the name Azula is going to encourage her to do better. Maybe she's
Oh,
going to be
that's a
like,
good way to put it.
I may be named Azula, but I don't want to be a villain. I'm going to show that this name can be more than evil.
Yeah, I like that. I feel like there's definitely a lot that she can live up to. I don't feel like she needs to be constrained in this.
Yeah.
So I personally would have no problem naming my kids off of some fantasy. In some scenarios they get to be like a hero. And I feel like in a lot of, great works, things aren't so black and white with heroes versus villains.
Mm-hmm.
In some cases, obviously so, but some have a little bit more complexity. I think they're coming out with the new Avatar series and new stories, and they have comics all the time. Like, I think we find in some of them that Azula turns out all right.
She does have a redemption arc in the comic
Yeah.
books, yes, and I think that if anything, obviously, Grandma has not caught up on that. Azula is able to overcome
Yeah.
her villainous ways and sort of realize what the greater good is, and that's important.
Yeah,
And
I think it's very important. So I would say, this is not on them. I feel like this girl is perfectly okay in the decisions that she has made. Would
yes,
you say
I,
you
I
feel
I
the
would agree with
same?
you in that. NTA, not the a hole.
Yeah, that's what I would say. Surprisingly, this person was labeled the a-hole.
Really?
Yeah, that is the consensus, or at least that's the tag that has at least been applied.
No way. Have you found any
Yeah.
comments labeling her the a-hole?
Yeah, I've seen a couple. So a lot of them are like,
What's their
well,
biggest argument?
yeah, a lot of them are like, well, they're your kids. Like you get to name them what you want. But some people, said that like one person said like realistically, it's cruel to name your child after a character in a rather famous TV show. That's all anyone's gonna think of when they hear their name. So I mean that's a valid point, but like I said,
Honestly, it's probably better to be named after a well-known character than an unknown one, because then you don't have the added step of explaining what character you're named after to everyone like I do.
mhm.
She could say, "Oh, I'm named after Azula," and people will be like, "Oh yeah, from Avatar," and then that's the
And that's it.
conversation.
That's it. No more.
She doesn't have to go and explain everything. So if anything, it's probably better that way.
That is fair. The person says, I would say the same if you named your daughter Katara or your son Aang or Zuko, just because all of them are like famous, and so that's one thing that has been made. So a few people have mentioned that, like you shouldn't name your kid something that's like that exotic, I guess. This person, I guess her middle name was Ursula,
Hmm.
named after this is a person commenting. Her middle name is Ursula after that villain. And she's saying that every single time like someone found out her name, she would get teased about it, and she said that like she came to like hate the Little Mermaid and got like super embarrassed and wanted to change her name. So she says
Oh
that like
damn.
it was just a bad experience for her. And
Yeah.
I definitely understand that. I don't want to take away. So it seems like that's mainly what people are getting after, not so much the villain, so much as like a unique name
The
like that.
experience of bearing the name. I
Yeah.
I can see that. Maybe I just got lucky for never getting made fun of about my name. Um, so maybe I got lucky on that front, but like I don't think that having a weird name is that bad. At
Yeah,
least not in my personal experience.
that would definitely be how I would feel about the scenario. Like, it's bad, but like not horrible. Like it could be bad. And honestly, that comes down to like, don't raise your kids to make fun of others.
Yeah, seriously, at that point, that's not on you. Like she still is not the a-hole for naming her kid that. It's all the parents who aren't telling their kids not to make fun of the girl for her name.
Yeah. I feel like those people are the a-holes.
Everyone else sucks.
Yeah. So I would personally brand this, not the a-hole,
Yeah.
but just be mindful of that. Make sure you understand that your kids could get bullied for their name.
Yeah, kids will make fun of anything.
Yeah.
But okay, well, so we are in agreement, you and I, that she's not the a-hole, and we are
Hmm.
actually disagreeing with Reddit. So that's interesting. But of course, because we are the kings, the co-kings of Goodland, um, obviously our word reigns supreme.
Yeah,
So
we get to make that decision here.
yeah,
So
we are officially pardoning her, not the a-hole, and also
officially
Reddit.
pardoned.
Reddit is wrong. All right,
All right, what's next?
I've got one for you. Um, this is a good one. Reddit user u/sodebur is French. Says, I don't remember what, I think burr is soap, but don't quote me on that. Maybe it's butter. Never mind. We're gonna move on. She asks, am I the a-hole for asking my husband to wash his hands after he poops?
Ah, good
She,
question.
she goes on to explain, this morning, my husband pooped, as we all do. He came out of the bathroom after just rinsing his hands with water for about 2 seconds. I asked him if he'd use soap. He said no. I told him that was gross and he needed to go wash his hands with soap. He said in an irritated voice he was about to take our dog on a walk and he'd have to pick up poop anyway, so it didn't matter. I asked if he usually used soap and he got aggravated and said yes, which I'm not sure I believe at this point, frankly. Then he was walking around the house touching doorknobs, so I asked him again more firmly to go wash his hands before he got poop everywhere. He ignored me. I asked again a third time and said, I'm serious. You need to go wash your hands before you touch everything in the house. I don't want to get norovirus. He finally did, very frustrated about it, acting like I was being silly for asking. I confronted him about that, and he said I was being very rude. I told him it was rude of him to put my health at risk like that. He's a doctor, and he said, I am in no way putting your health at risk. I asked him if he could hear himself right now, and he said, I don't think you hear yourself right now. We agreed to put a pin in it and discuss later. Am I the a-hole for asking my husband repeatedly to wash his hands? I feel ridiculous asking, but he clearly thinks I'm being a jerk. I don't think my tone was really aggressive, although it definitely was quite insistent. I'm sure he thinks it's no big deal since he's taking the dog out anyway, but it's a big deal to me. Maybe I'm overreacting, but I'm emetophobic, terrified of vomit, and can't live in a house with someone who does this.
Hmm.
So, what do you think? What are your
Yeah.
initial thoughts here?
Hmm. I mean, I'd say that like my initial thoughts would be it's not too hard to wash your hands in this situation. Like if your partner is adamant in wanting you to wash your hands, I feel like it shouldn't be too hard to kind of cater to that a little bit. Um, so at least that would be my personal thought process would be, if your partner is asking you to do something and it's really not too hard, I would recommend doing it. It sounds like this event has caused sort of a rift between the two of them. And I can't say anything to what their relationship is like normally, but I would say probably should just wash your hands. It'll even if you just use soap for 30 seconds compared to 2 seconds, you don't miss out on too much, and probably saves the amount of time that they argued just in itself. It'll probably save that time just fine. They don't need to worry about arguing. So at least that's what I would think of personally. Would that be, being in a relationship, you kind of have a responsibility to do things together.
Yeah,
Plus, I mean, I'm not going to say anything personally about washing your hands after you poop. Like, man, you should do that.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
Just
ignoring that
generally,
fact. Yeah.
I I can't imagine getting done doing the business. I can't imagine finishing up and then just walking out. I feel like
No.
my skin would crawl as soon as I exited that that room. As soon as I crossed the threshold and still had matter upon my fingertips, I would just I couldn't do it. I couldn't live with the thought that that existed on
Yeah,
my hands.
I would need to wash my hands. Like 100% would need to wash my hands. That's not up for debate.
From
So
your
Alexa,
calendar, writing check-in with
Alexa,
Courtney
stop.
is coming up tomorrow.
Alexa, quiet.
From your
Alexa,
calendar, writing check-in
stop
with
it.
Courtney is coming
Alexa,
up tomorrow.
stop. Quiet. Thank you. We're still working on her.
she seems to be having some trouble. No, I personally, one, always wash your hands. Just please do that. Yeah, just always wash your hands.
Yeah,
That's number one.
This one. I thought it was gonna be funny because we're talking about like poop and stuff, and it's like, haha, he didn't wash his hands. It's so gross. But it's after like reading it and starting to talk about it, it's like, dude, just do the thing. Like, you should just do the thing. It's not
difficult, not too hard.
And like you were saying, it seems like the time that they wasted, like this seemed like it was kind of in the morning. She updated it and said that he came home from lunch and they talked about it and sort of smoothed things over. But like the
That's
fact that they
good.
were thinking about it clear until lunchtime, like that's half your day
Yeah. You know
that
how
you
many
spent
times you
on
could have
this.
washed your hands?
Yeah. And he so it looks like they did get things kind of smoothed out. He admitted that the request was reasonable and said, "Of course, I think you should wash your hands." And it really was just about the dog thing, um, and he just kind of got a little bullheaded about it. He didn't like the way that she was. I don't think he liked being referred to, like looked at like an animal. I think that kind of got to him.
Yeah, I mean, I could relate. I feel like anyone could relate to it. Sometimes someone will tell you to do something and you're right, but you just don't feel happy about it. Like every once in a while, people relate to something like that. But as long as they were able to like patch it up and he washes his hands, I feel like that's good. That's probably a good conclusion.
Yeah, yeah. Seems like they worked it out. And you would be happy to know that, like, basically the entire comment session agrees. This one Reddit user, xbesto, says, uh, everyone is an a-hole for reminding me that there are people out there this dumb.
That's hilarious.
A lot of people are very upset about the fact that he is a doctor and not washing his hands. They're like, you'd think a doctor would be the one pushing, like you'd think it would be the other way around.
True. It's a good point. Yeah, I'm glad that, in my mind, everyone washes their hands all the time. I don't want to think of any other reality.
It's a safer world. It is a safer world to live in your mind, if you just imagine everything is squeaky clean.
Yeah, that's the world I'm going to live in here. So
I used to work at a roller rink.
Oh yeah.
And so I would get people handing me back their skates that everyone, obviously, you rented out the skates. You can't exactly, there's not an easy way to clean a roller skate. So basically, you hand it back to us. We take Lysol and just spray the insides with Lysol, and that's that. That's how we clean them. I mean, Lysol is a little bit of a disinfectant, but it's not like a deep clean. And let me tell you,
Yeah.
so we had these things called after school skates, where people, basically elementary schools in the area, would get to come after school and get the roller rink to themselves for like an hour and a half. And so they would bus over like anywhere from 30 to 80 elementary school kids. They would bus them over, and then they would just get free reign over the place. And
Oh
at the
gosh.
end of those after school skates, you would get kids handing back dripping wet skates because they would be having so much fun skating that they would not take a break to go to the bathroom.
Oh no.
And so they would pee, and it would run down their legs and pool in the skates.
Don't tell me that.
And then they would hand it back to you. And we sprayed them with Lysol and said, okay, we'll put those upside down to dry. And then
Oh.
Luckily, most of the time, those were only the really tiny kid ones. So like I didn't have to worry about putting my feet in pea skates. But I'm not going to drop names of this roller rink. But I guess, I don't know. I guess if you know who I am, you probably know the name of it. But I'm not going to drop the name of it. I'm not going to sell them out like that. But just know this is probably not too dissimilar from every roller rink ever. This is probably how they all do it. Probably bowling shoes too. I bet that's how bowling shoes work. I bet they just spray them down. I've never worked at a bowling alley, but I bet it's not more than a Lysol spray. But yeah, I saw some pretty gnarly stuff working at that roller rink.
Yeah, that sounds like it, man.
Are you too skeezed out, or do you want to hear another really gross story?
Yeah, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
There was a young girl who was skating. So my position, I was floor guard. So I strapped skates onto myself, and I stood up in the booth and I did the music. I was the MC. I was in charge of the games. So I read people the rules to limbo and then went out and moved the bar down and stuff. And basically I was kind of like the lifeguard. I had a whistle. I skated around, made sure people were following the rules. So there's one time I was skating around, and this girl was trying to see how fast she could go. She put and so she was on quad skates, and they have the little rubber stops in the front of them as like the brakes. So you're just supposed to like go up on your toes, and it's supposed to slow you down. Well, she was basically like running, not really like skating, pushing side to side, but picking her feet up and down, running. Hit the rubber stop on the ground and just went face first into the ground. She hit her teeth onto the hardwood floor of the roller rink there, and they shattered. They broke like glass, her two front teeth, in many pieces. So all of a sudden she hit the ground. There was just this loud thud and like this sound of like cracking. And then the entire place stopped, was dead silent. And then give her like, it felt like a minute, but it was probably only a couple seconds, but like this little bit of delay. And then she was just streaming, and it went from like her face flat on the ground to all of a sudden this pool of blood just like spreading out from her.
Man.
And so she got up, and she was missing like her two front teeth and like I think one of the ones next to it. And they were just like literally broken into many pieces on the ground. And so we had to get her and call her mom over, and her mom rushed her. And I got a plastic stamp. I put on gloves and got a Ziploc bag and put the teeth pieces in the bag and gave them to the mom. And I guess this was on a Saturday, so the dentist office was closed, but they called us like a week later. They said that they called the dentist, and he came to do like an emergency meetup with them and was able to like glue the teeth back together to put them in. And so the mom was like, thank you so much for picking up the pieces of those teeth, because he was able to like reassemble them.
Well, that's good. Man, that is just insane to think about something like that. I remember my wife and I, we were on our honeymoon, and we went through like Oregon. We traveled along the coast, through the forest, like through lots of different Airbnbs and stuff, and it was really fun. But at one place, I think it was Bend, Oregon, we went, they had a roller rink, and it was really cool because it was like actually the fall that we were on our honeymoon. It was fall time, but they had this neat roller rink that like, it was just like a giant, is it a giant building, like full-size roller rink, and it had like the roof of the building, but like all of the walls were like open. It was kind of really cool. So it was like nice
like
open
like a
air.
kind of like an amphitheater thing.
Yeah,
Like you
like an
could see the
amphitheater.
outside.
Yeah, it was completely, the walls were completely open. It was just like
Huh.
beautiful. We really enjoyed it. So you could see like the beautiful forest around you and stuff. It was a great place. But I remember there were a bunch of these teenager kids, and one kid slipped and fell and hit his front teeth in, in the ice, and his tooth got stuck in the ice.
Oh God.
So like the tooth broke off, but then later they're like, well, the tooth is missing, it must be somewhere. So they like found it, and it was like impaled into the ice. So they like had a bunch of people surrounding it, and they were like working to chip the ice to
Oh,
get his
no.
tooth out from being like buried in this ice.
Yeah.
And he didn't bleed or anything, surprisingly, but he hit it just right to stab it into the ice, and they had to later go find it and dig it back
Wow.
up.
I can't believe he didn't bleed.
Yeah,
That's
it was
impressive.
it was impressive. He did have like a napkin or a paper towel later holding it up to it, but like it definitely wasn't blood. I didn't see blood anywhere, but just the fact that you'd lose your tooth and know that it's just buried in this pile
Like in the
of
first Ice Age movie when they're like walking through the caves and their things just like frozen in the ice.
yeah,
sticking
just
out.
this guy's tooth just chilling in the ice.
That's awesome. That's, man, I could probably do a whole episode about stories about working at the roller rink. That was one of the interesting things about it, was that like everyone in there's nothing else to do in Pocatello. So, oh crap. There's only one roller rink in Pocatello. So I was trying to keep it anonymous. I kind of just gave it away. I kind of just gave away the one I was talking about. So I guess at this point, there's not much use keeping it secret. Yeah. But anyway, there's not much else to do in Pocatello. So basically every kid in Pocatello is like a super good skater because there's nothing else for them to do there.
Yeah,
so
not too much to
after
do.
school on Fridays, they all, just like all the middle school and high school kids, meet up at the roller rink. It's insane. They're always popping off on Fridays and Saturdays because there's nothing else in that town for these kids to occupy their time with.
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool.
It's either like doing whippets in the park or learning how to rollerblade. And sometimes for some of those kids, it's doing whippets while rollerblading. So
that's fun, man. The things that you do for fun when you're
Yeah.
a kid.
All right. Well, that was a fun tangent. Do you want to dive back into Reddit? You got another one for me?
Yeah, sure. So this is, it's, am I the a-hole for switching to regular milk to prove my lactose intolerant roommate keeps stealing from me?
Okay. Initial thoughts without hearing the story, yes, but go on and maybe I'll change my tune.
So this person said that me and two other guys share an apartment. They live together. They split all the bills, but they each pay for their own groceries. So every person is in charge of buying their own food, and they all know don't touch your food if it's not yours. So it said that one of their roommates keeps stealing their food. They get home from work and containers with their leftovers are missing, or stuff gets finished too quickly, like a large gallon of milk. They're just noticing that it is disappearing way too fast for a regular gallon of milk. So they've confronted their roommate about it several times, but all it does is cause arguments, and he just denies it. Even though at least the person writing this post says that they feel that it is so completely obvious, but they keep denying it. So last week, the milk was empty again, and he got really fed up. So he went to the liquor store and bought some regular dairy milk. So he refilled his almond milk gallon with regular milk. So he didn't even attempt to, or he is attempting to hide it to catch this guy dead in his tracks. So a little bit of sneakery on on this guy's end. And then he says, yeah, so they get back from work and this roommate is actually now pissed. So he's upset. And here he's saying that he was able to catch him because they switched milk. And, he said that his roommate was stuck in the bathroom for 40 minutes with diarrhea because of drinking the milk.
Yeah.
And he was using it to make a milkshake. So then the roommate just said, well, so you're the one who's been stealing my milk then. You're the one who's been stealing my stuff. Of course, his roommate gets super upset. And, so there's 3 roommates. So the one that's been stealing is super pissed. The other third party roommate thinks it's kind of funny.
Sure.
He thinks it's kind of funny. But the one who stole the milk is trying to convince the other one to kick him out.
Wow. Evict him over this.
Yeah, he's being really upset. And the person said that like he's talked to a few people and they've given them some opinions, but he wants to know, is he the a-hole in this situation?
Oh,
So
man.
I know that the reason I picked this was because we've talked before about similar events,
I believe it was a Yahoo Answers
food.
about a dad stealing their kids' food.
Stealing food is not good. Like I feel like you shouldn't steal food, period. That's just kind of my first take. But what do you say to this situation, Norrin?
Well, yeah, I mean, especially if that's the agreement that you and your roommates have worked out. Like if you have agreed that each person is paying for their own food, then by stealing that roommate's food, you're essentially stealing their money as well, because you're not pitching in for it. So if that is
True.
the agreement you've worked out, then by not holding true to that agreement, you are inherently in the wrong, and you are the jerk for it. I guess this poster probably felt that they had exhausted their options if they had confronted this individual many times about the stealing and it just kept happening. Obviously, this was probably a last resort, and ultimately, it's not the worst thing that could happen. I assume that if they've been roommates for a while, I hope that he knew the severity of the lactose intolerance and knew that it wasn't going to be like anything that could harm him dangerously. Because that's my biggest thing. Like if it was something like my roommate is deathly allergic to peanuts and he keeps eating my Trader Joe's cookie butter, so I swapped it out for peanut butter and put him into anaphylactic shock.
That's murder.
Yeah, that would be awful. But if it's just like I made him have to poop bad for a while, like I feel like that's not terrible.
Yeah, no, definitely a different severity.
Yeah, so like if I don't think that his assault on the bowels of his roommate, I don't think that was all too terrible. I myself, I'm not lactose intolerant. I'm kind of like lactose averse. So like I'm fine if it's just a little bit, but if I go a little too crazy, if I get like some like a big plate of nachos instead of a regular size plate of nachos, I'm gonna be a little bit unhappy. So I'm not one milkshake wouldn't end me up in the bathroom for 45 minutes, but I know that like some people have it worse than others, but it sounds like from the people who I know who are lactose intolerant, like it's most of them are like, yeah, I eat cheese and ice cream on cheat days because they're just so good. And obviously if you're doing that to yourself,
you shouldn't, but
yeah, the side effects obviously aren't bad enough to cause you harm. So I don't think what this Reddit poster did was too bad, especially considering if what the poster says is true, that he has talked to this roommate numerous times about the theft. This is an ongoing issue. I think this was the final straw. So I think he's in the clear.
That's what the general consensus is. And a few people mentioned like, you know that this isn't a life-threatening allergy. So it's not like you were trying to physically harm. Definitely, being in the bathroom for 40 minutes, that is an inconvenience for sure.
And it sucks. It's not fun. It does not feel great.
It's not, not a good experience to be put into.
But you're not at risk.
Yeah, this person said that this person said that like their sister did something similar. She's a fan of spicy food and always has some spicy salsa to add to everything. And one person, they said that we had a friend who always invited people and used our things and my sister's salsa, but denied it. So one day their sister diluted the salsa with a bunch of garlic and oil and vinegar, and they immediately stopped. So I feel like this is probably like one of those things, like if someone's stealing your stuff, you want to do something about it. And really with food, there's really only one thing you can do,
Yeah.
short of like setting up a video camera, or something like that. So I agree with you. This person is not in the wrong. It feels like most people, I don't see anyone saying, that they are the a-hole in this situation. And one person says that, what, I am lactose intolerant, and this is freaking hilarious. This person understands, what, this is hilarious, unfortunate situation, but hilarious nonetheless.
This makes me just appreciate the roommates I had when I was renting that house in Pocatello. It makes me, I love my roommates a lot, regardless, but this makes me appreciate them even more because basically the system that we had set up is that if one of us was going to the store, we would just text the others and say, hey, I'm going to the store, do you need anything? And then we would tell them what we needed. They would buy it, and then we would just like Venmo them half of the bill. And then if it was in the fridge, because we split it, it's like it's there. Like we're all in this together. It was basically
Okay.
just like living with your family. So we didn't necessarily put dibs on it on anything,
Yeah,
but we
the
were also
person would
pretty
pay
respectful.
half, but
Yeah. And we were also pretty respectful about it. We're like, I know for a fact that that this person requested this snack specifically. So I know that I didn't pick it out for myself. So if I'm not gonna eat it all because I didn't ask for it. It's not mine. We're also just not jerks and respected each other's like selections that they made. So we got pretty lucky that we were all considerate about that and really helped each other out on that. So
yeah, I feel like that's a very intelligent way to do that. They cover some of the costs, but still open game. That's something like I served a mission for a long period of time, and you're always with a companion in one apartment. And part of paying for a mission, like we didn't need to worry about utilities or anything like that, but we had a certain amount of money that we could spend on groceries each month. And each companion, you'd have to set up how it's going to work. Are we going to share everything? Are we going to share costs? Are we going to each have our own things? I think we came to the conclusion that like basic things like eggs and milk, typically we would just kind of have like communal, but then like the rest of the things were personal,
the more
so
specific.
some communal, yeah, and then other things were a bit more open. So I definitely like appreciate how you want to have those things planned out. You don't want anyone else feeling unfortunate or anything like that.
Yeah, we had pretty much everything was understood to be communal. There were a couple things that we didn't dive into of each other's. Like there were like frozen like fish sticks and like fried shrimp that was like frozen that you could heat up. And obviously, I was not touching those because I don't like seafood. So that was something that I steered away from. But we always had like 3 bags of hot Cheetos because we the hot Cheetos would go by very quickly, and so everyone needed their own bag of hot Cheetos. So we had like 3 or 4 in the pantry at all times because everyone had their own bag of hot Cheetos because they were just a hot commodity. If we tried to share them, then it would not be even at all. You'd be eating them and try to be modest about it, and you look down and all of a sudden there's like a quarter of the bag left, and you're like, I did not mean to leave you the last like 3 Cheetos.
I like that.
So everyone had personal Cheetos, but everything else was pretty much shared.
Okay.
But it definitely was individualized bags of hot Cheetos.
Dang.
All right, you ready to crack open another one?
Let's hear another.
Okay, this one's interesting, and we've talked a lot about bodily fluids on this episode. So
we have.
I hope we're not like making anyone's skin crawl too much. I'll definitely put a warning in the description of this one that there is a lot of bodily fluids talk, because I know people don't do. There are some people who don't handle that very well.
That
So
is true.
I don't want to take anyone off guard by that. I will be sure to put a trigger warning in. But I have another one also about bodily fluids. So while I will provide a trigger warning, I am going to talk about it some more.
All right, let's hear it.
And I'm interested to hear this, Michael, because I probably have a controversial opinion on this one. So I'm interested to hear how you judge this one.
Yeah.
This Reddit user says, "Am I the a-hole for cooking in a vomit pot?" Let me tell you, this is a doozy. This past weekend, I hosted a vaccine party for my group of friends who are totally vaccinated. We hadn't seen each other for quite a while, so we were all looking forward to it. I promised to make them my famous chunky chicken stew, which is always a hit, and Saturday was no exception. Everyone loved it. A few got bowls to go. And then, for whatever otherworldly perverse reason, I decided to tell them that it had been cooked in my family's vomit pot. Some quick backstory here. Everyone uses something to throw up in, right? Some exclusively use the toilet, some use a small trash bin, etc. Well, for some reason, we use this cooking pot. I use it, my wife uses it, my son uses it, my daughter uses it. I thought it would be funny to tell them, and certainly did not foresee the reaction it gained. First, there was slightly concerned puzzlement. What did I mean by vomit pot? Well, I explained to them what it was and what I meant. The growing concern from them, the growing concern, the concern grew is what this person is trying to say, but they have written this sentence strangely. I mentioned that my son used it for a night of throwing up not 2 weeks ago. As they saw I was serious, there was growing revulsion and anger. My friend started yelling at me, asking how I could do such a thing, that it was disgusting. I told him that it was always washed thoroughly. My best friend's wife left hurriedly for the bathroom, and I suspect she forcibly ejected my chunky chicken stew. I told them if it was so gross, then why did they slurp my stew down so quickly? Well, apparently that was the last straw. Everyone gathered up and left, and now I fear there is an unfixable rift in our relationship. I realize now that some truths are too much for some to handle, and I should have kept the secret of the vomit pot to my grave. Mind you, this pot is absolutely clean and sterile. It is washed thoroughly after every vomit use. Was I the a-hole by cooking in the pot and or by telling them?
Well, did they give any reason why they use that pot? Is it just like the biggest pot and the only option for that sort of
that would be my assumption
of cooking?
There wasn't specifically a reason, but they said that it's just a pot that they cook in, and then it doubles as when someone is sick, that doubles as the sick catch.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
So let's initial thoughts, a-hole or not?
I would say yes, not for using the pot, but for telling them about the pot. Like, that's going to do nothing but stir up the pot.
Yeah, you know? as it were.
That's going to do nothing but that. So I'd say for telling people, yes. Me personally, like, if someone told me that, I would likely, if they're like a friend and I am familiar with their habits and how they live their lives, I probably wouldn't be too concerned. I'd probably be like, okay, that's gross, dude. But like, I'm assuming you cleaned it. Like,
right.
You know, so personally, I'd probably be okay with something like that, but shouldn't have told people that, you know, that's just not going to do any good. So I would say yes, they are the a-hole in this situation.
Yeah, and I think I would agree with you. I would say that they're the a-hole for telling their friends about it and stirring up the drama. But I would agree that I don't think cooking in it is a big offense. And that might surprise some people because I am a little bit of a germaphobe. Obviously, I'm not. That's probably not the right word for it. I just am averse to things that are dirty.
Yeah.
But Michael, did your family have a designated vomit receptacle?
No, I mean, it was just the toilet. Like, that's just the standard. I guess like going to bed, maybe like you'd have a mixing bowl. Like if someone was sick, you know, maybe we'd be safe and put like a mixing bowl, I think. but yeah, not really, not like a designated receptacle. What about you?
Well, this is the reason that I am not super grossed out about this, because so this my family has what we call a barf bucket, and it is a big white mixing bowl essentially. It's like a plastic bowl, and it's one of those ones that you would like serve chips in at a party.
Yeah.
And I think families who don't have a designated barf bucket, I think they have a little bit of trouble understanding it. The idea is not that you only vomit in the barf bucket. The idea is that it is, if you, when you feel yourself needing to throw up, if you cannot make it from where you are seated to the toilet, you have something as an intermediary.
Yeah,
That is
a
its
good
intended purpose. It is not
backup.
intended to replace the toilet. It is intended to save you if you can't make it there.
That is a good point to make.
We have a barf bucket. It is a big white bowl, and just strap tight, Michael. This is the bowl that we serve Halloween candy in every year. This is what
At least the candy is packaged.
Yes, but this is the bowl that we put our Halloween candy in every year, and we have 4 years.
Okay.
For many countless years, more than I can remember. This is the bowl that we have served Halloween candy out of. I don't know why. I just know that we do it, but I know that it gets cleaned very well after. And I mean, I've seen some dishes look way worse after cooking in them than this has looked after getting cleaned. So
yeah, that's one thing, is like, if someone has a designated receptacle for that, they're probably the kind of people who would make sure it gets cleaned. It's not one of those things that like someone would have and just like rinse out once and like put it back in the cupboard.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
A person who has a dedicated receptacle for that probably puts some care to wash that thoroughly at least once, if not twice.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like if you've cleaned it thoroughly, I don't think it's a big deal to use it for other purposes. Because there are a lot of things that we do in things that get them pretty gross, but after cleaning them, they're fine. Like people who work out and they get their clothes all dirty and sweaty and stinky. Like, I don't know if you remember cross country practice.
I was just gonna say, your dad picking us up from cross country practice.
Yes. Why don't you take over, Michael? You can tell this story.
I just remember like us getting in the car and he's like, "Man, it smells like Swass in here."
Yes, Swass. And
it was like his little small car, so we're all like in this like tighter area.
Yeah,
tighter
packed
space.
Like 3 of us in the back seat,
yeah,
just like utterly reeking. And that, like, if you were going to coat your tiny running shorts in Swass, then put them on again later, then that's, I guess there's a difference between butt sweat and vomit, but it's the same principle about reusing something that was dirty. Once you clean it, it is no longer drenched in Swass. Once you clean it, it no longer has vomit inside of it. So that should erase it. And if you reuse, if you put on exercise clothes again after washing them, then you should be okay with putting chunky chicken stew in a vomit pot. It's the same concept.
Yeah, I think we can agree to this. Definitely like not the time and place to tell people that definitely is on him, but
especially like your first time seeing these people it seemed like it was quite a long time. If this is the first time that they've met up since the start of the pandemic, this was posted
that's
4 days ago.
Like,
so it'd been like over a year since these people had seen each other. And I doubt that the thing that these people want, like your close group of friends, I bet the last thing that they wanted to hear about on their first time seeing each other in over a year was the idea that they were eating out of a vomit pot.
Yeah,
I think they
just
would have been
like,
very content thinking about anything else.
I know, like even just this time, like alone, even just finding out that like, you know, if I was over at a friend's house for dinner and they're like, oh yeah, like my son was sick last week, like even that alone would be like a little bit unnerving in this time and age, you know?
Yeah. To be that close to the remnants of sick after time that we have been focused on nothing but being sick, that's
Mhm.
definitely, yeah, that's definitely frightening. So I think he's definitely the a-hole for bringing it up. I
Yeah,
think we can excuse the use of the pot, but there is no need to be a dick to your friends like that.
yeah, I agree.
Okay, well, I'm glad that we came to that consensus. I was worried that I was going to tell you about the barf bucket Halloween candy bucket, and that was going to cause a rift between us.
No, no rifts here.
I should know. I should know that we've been through too much.
We have. We certainly have.
Okay, got another one. We
Yeah, sure.
probably could get one more in.
Yeah, that sounds good. Let's pull this up. This
Take us out
person,
on a high note.
yeah, this is an older one, but a classic. It's, you know, am I the a-hole for suggesting my 7-year-old name his new stuffed tiger Tig Biddies?
Oh God.
So Norrin,
Is there no more context?
that's it. There's no other, nothing else.
Oh man. Well, my I'm gonna say yes. Because while it's probably funny to hear a kid say that, it's and I it's obviously like the letters are switched, so it's not saying what it's like referring to, but like, come on, man, that's a little bit derogatory, and you know we don't need to take this like this objectification and and apply it to a child's toy.
Yeah,
Just let him be innocent.
I agree. Like it's a, I will say it's a creative name. You know, you've got a tiger, and I don't know why this father, that's his first thought. Again, there's no really like context here, and parts of it have been deleted. So this is kind of like stumbling upon like an old ruin, trying to figure out what
Sure,
went down
yeah.
originally. But you know, it's a little bit childish. I think that's one of the top comments is like, you know, inappropriate, yes, still funny a little bit, you know, maybe. But I agree that, you know, that's definitely not something you should set your child up for, you know.
Yeah, like I don't know. I feel like if I had a kid, the last thing that I would want that kid to do would be, I don't know, it feels like something that you shouldn't do. Like you don't, it just feels insensitive, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like it feels like it feels like it's funny because of because you're joking about like someone else's body, and that just is not, that's not cool.
Yeah, definitely not able to do that. And one thing, like it is a child, you know, kids are like super impressionable, you know. If you're a child and your parent recommends that you do something like name your tiger this, you know, it's definitely going to make an impact. That doesn't mean that kids have no, um, you know, ability to do things on their own, but like it definitely is going to have an impact. And I think like as an adult, as a parent, it's definitely your responsibility to not lead them down some sort of path like this, you
Yeah,
know.
it's like you get them saying that, and then all of a sudden, you know, they're saying it and they're talking about their toy, but they're talking about their toy to a person that has breasts, and once they say that, then then like it's over, it's game over
Yeah, it's
for that
just
kid. Like once you say that in the context of someone, with breasts, then you've just, then they're gonna be like, where did you learn to say that? Because not only is that like not polite, it's like not a way that a kid should refer to those either.
I don't think it's a way anybody should.
Well, yeah.
So yeah, definitely. I think that's what a lot of
it's like the
people-
same concept of like, you shouldn't teach your kids to swear, but like it's swearing is funnier when a kid does it, but like you shouldn't teach them to do it because they can't handle that power yet. I feel like it's that same concept. So I would say yes, that poster is the a-hole.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's the general consensus. You know, it is a lot of people, you know, are saying like, okay, even if there is any portion of a humorous element in here, no, it should be shut down immediately.
Yeah, even if we could find it funny, it's not worth it.
Yeah, precisely. I think that sums that up pretty good.
All right. Well, what do you think? I think if we do one more, we'll go a little long.
Yeah, probably.
Would you want to go long, or should we call it there?
Let's see. Do you think we'll do this segment again?
I think we could.
I think we could. What if we leave off on one? We'll ask the question, see what
and then
people
we'll let
think.
Okay.
And then we'll discuss it further.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, let's see if you got a good one to end us on.
I do have a good one. Will I be the a-hole if I got rid of my ex-roommate's cats? So this one has some context to it that is pretty important to this decision.
Okay.
So our poster has an ex-roommate who moved out in February and has, so there are three individuals. There's the poster, the ex-roommate, and then the other roommate.
Okay.
So the poster's ex-roommate moved out in February. This was posted 4 days ago. And the ex-roommate has been paying the other roommate $100 a month to keep the cats. But that roommate has now also moved out and is paying the poster some of that money to care for them, $75 a month to care for the cats. The poster is now, does not have either of these roommates, but still has the cats. The money is going from the first roommate to the third, and then to the one actually caring for the cats.
Yeah.
The poster says, I don't have a cat and I don't want one. These roommates have ruined cats for me. They used to have a total of 10 cats combined and didn't do the best with their upkeep. I love petting
cats, but no.
Yeah. Poster says, I love petting and playing with cats, but changing their litter box is disgusting. It makes me want to puke. Yes, I'm being a baby, but cat piss is just, and then it's the little sick emoji. They said,
Fair.
Last month, I told the roommate who is paying me to keep the cats that our ex-roommate needs to get his cats by May 16th. So he told the one that pays him that the roommate who owns the cats needs to come get them by the 16th of May. They have only a few more days left at this point. It is the 9th of May. So
oh yeah, this is alive.
Yeah, this is live fire. So the poster says, I will get rid of the cats the next day. I did not agree to keep these cats in the first place, and the person who did kind of left them on me without saying anything. He also abandoned his dog here with me. Luckily, I was able to find him a forever home. I might be the jerk here because our previous roommate loves these cats so much and is paying for them to be kept, but it's been 3 months since he moved out, and by the 16th, it'll be a month and a half that I've been stuck caring for them. I would talk to my previous roommate myself, but we have blocked each other on everything. So this seems to be where things get sketchy, because a lot of people are saying, why don't you just tell the owner of the cats to come get the cats? And apparently there was some drama that we are not privy to that has made that not possible. They are blocked on all of the social medias, and they are not able to get in contact. Their phone numbers are blocked. They did not end on good terms at all, and that person does not want to contact each other.
Interesting.
And he also the poster also clarifies that by getting rid of the cats, they just mean find a new home for them. they're not going to like throw them out. They're going to find them a forever home like they did for the dog.
Yeah. Okay.
But we'll leave it on that. So this person cannot or will not contact the owner of these cats and doesn't want them anymore. So they're trying to get a third party involved to get rid of the cats for them, or at least tell the owner of the cats to come collect them.
Mm-hmm.
So,
man, this is a good one. This will be next time we go through this. There might be some.
We'll
updates.
think on it, and we'll come back next week and talk about it.
Cool.
Yeah, this one's a thinker. I'll send you the link so you can read over it too.
Yeah, definitely.
But with that, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. It means a lot to us. Again, happy Mother's Day to moms. Yeah, I mean, it won't be anymore by the time this is posted, but it's the thought that counts. We're a little bit late, but I mean, it's whatever. If you are tuning in on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. And then again, if you have any ideas for another topic you'd like us to talk about, something else you'd like us to see, any Yahoo Answers or WikiHow or Reddit posts that you want us to read, we'd be happy to revisit with some user submissions. So check those out too, and leave them below in the comments. You can also send those to us on our socials. We are at Goodland Pod on Instagram and Twitter, or Goodland Podcast on Facebook. So definitely be sure to check those out and hit us up there. If you are on iTunes, a 5-star rating helps us climb those charts and get seen. That's always helpful. And then, of course, just word of mouth advertising. If you like what we do here, be sure to tell people about it. And if you like what we do here, check out our other show, Dungeon Stories, also available on all podcast platforms and YouTube. We play Dungeons and Dragons on Dungeon Stories, and it's very cool.
Oh, yeah. A lot of fun.
If you like video games, I'm streaming on Twitch now at Everweld_. So check that out, twitch.tv/Everweld_. Definitely tune into those. And with that, everyone, this has been another wonderful journey into the Valley of Goodland. We are so excited to be back, and we love sharing it with you, and we love to build this world with you and everything that's good in it. So thank you for listening. We really appreciate it. And this has been Goodland, and I am glad you're alive.